We're back and we're talking about what's in store for the upcoming respiratory virus season. Last year, we saw a surge in these viruses after a couple of years of not seeing as much flu and RSV. Dr. Gorfinkel, what is your take? I mean, what can we glean from Australia's situation?
If you take a look at what's happening, Australia is having pretty much the same number of cases this year as they have had last year. And in fact, the people who are most likely to be hospitalized are children. They account for about 3/4 of the hospitalizations in Australia. If COVID is any measure, most of the household transmissions are in fact coming from children. And as I mentioned, flu and cold viruses live on surfaces as well. So flu virus is highly contagious. Canada's biggest problem is that we remain under-vaccinated when it comes to influenza. Seriously under-vaccinated. People think, oh, I'll just get the antiviral. Remember Tamiflu? Well, what does Tamiflu do? It reduces symptoms by a lousy half day. That's all it does. It doesn't reduce transmission. It doesn't reduce the likelihood of winding up in hospital with a pneumonia. It doesn't reduce the likelihood of winding up in hospital with a heart attack or diabetes. You need a flu shot to do all of that.
The uptake among older populations and children, I expect, would be a little bit higher than sort of in the middle there, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely. And if you take a look at the numbers, that's what's happening. So we need to get flu shots out to a broader range of people. We are falling way under the number recommended. We want to get to 60 to 70% of individuals vaccinated. And what was it last year? I believe it was, 20 to 30% of people getting the flu shot.
Yeah.
We have the flu shots. The question is, will people take them?
All right, let's get back to some of the questions from our audience. The first from Joseph, and here is what he writes. He says, when will I be able to get my flu shot this season? And when will the new COVID shot be available? And I would also just add to that question, Drew, and where?
So the flu shot should be available starting in and around October the 10th this year. It's a pretty massive effort to distribute them to pharmacies and doctors' offices and clinics across the province. So typically we're looking at Thanksgiving weekend is when they'll be available.
Will there be an abundance or shortages?
So we would anticipate that there'll be enough to vaccinate the population at the level that we're looking for. And from the pharmacy's perspective, we are distributed a sufficient amount based on last year's, plus the ability to order more after that.
And how about the COVID shot?
So the COVID shots are currently available in pharmacy for the booster shots as well. The new shot, the XBB.1.5 shot, is not available as of yet in pharmacies, but there is plan to make that available as well.
But it will be, and it won't be available at doctors' offices, as I understand. Is that right?
I'm not sure about that. Maybe other panel members
will it be available at doctors' offices as well?
Family doctors can, in fact, request it, but that will be based on the individual family doctor to decide.
Okay, let's get to the next question from Mars. Go ahead.
I haven't gotten sick yet, but when is the peak flu season, and should I wait till then to get my flu shot?
Dr. Prezada.
Our biggest demand in the hospital is usually around January, February, but you should get it before that season and get that 2 to 3 months of protection a few weeks before that. So your optimal time is when they come out is usually October, November to get your flu shot.
As soon as possible, and that's also when the shots do become available. All right, the next from Jimmy, go ahead.
Hey there. So last flu season, there was an influx of patients in the ICUs, and I'm wondering if this year our hospitals will be able to deal with the influx of patients.
I'll go back to you, Dr. Prezada, on this one as an ER doctor.
So one good thing is we've started seeing more elderly people coming in with a variety of viral illnesses. About 20% of them are turning out to be COVID. Luckily, they haven't taxed the ICUs yet, and I'm hoping that trend maintains, but we don't know. Nobody knows. We all know that our system is not great at handling stress. So when it does reach that critical stage, I hope we do take measures to prevent that from happening. But again, no one can give you a definitive answer on that yet.
All right, let's get to an email question from Monica. Here's what she writes. Last year, it was hard to get Tylenol and other cold and flu medicines. Will it be better this year, or do I need to stock up now?
So yeah, there was unprecedented problems last year. A lot has been done to strengthen the distribution chain in Ontario and Canada. We are not anticipating that cough and cold medications or Tylenol are going to be a major issue this year, barring any kind of massive increase in infection rates. Where we may have some issues similar to last year around antibiotics. And so, we're working to try and make sure that we plug those gaps in the distribution chain as well.
Okay. And our next question from Hans. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, are there like natural remedies to fight the flu instead of getting these shots?
Dr. Vaisman?
No, unfortunately, there isn't anything that's been proven to be beneficial outside of the Tamiflu, which is given to patients who are sick, who are requiring hospitalization, especially high-risk patients. But there aren't any over-the-counter remedies or herbs or supplements that are proven to be beneficial when a person has the influenza infection, neither for prevention either. There is no substitute for getting vaccinated. So basically, for all age groups, the recommendation stands that everyone should get vaccinated against influenza as soon as possible.
Dr. Griffin?
Yeah, as a family doctor, I will sometimes tell people what really helps is stay hydrated. Because the fact is, once somebody's sick, that horse has left the barn. Okay, so they may, we're not going to vaccinate them when they're sick. They're sick now, they're in front of me. So what I recommend is good hydration, humidification. These things actually make a difference in how people feel. Things like a neti pot can make a difference. Honey and lemon is actually an evidence-based therapy that can make people feel better, especially when it comes to sore throats and congestion. Other things. So people ask, what should I take vitamin? A, B, C, D. I mean, the list goes on. Should I take these? Do they matter? Vitamin C possibly may have some benefits. Vitamin D is questionable. It may be useful in preventing certain viruses, cold viruses, not COVID. That's been disproven. But certainly there doesn't seem to be harm in taking a multivitamin. Mostly it amounts to expensive urine, though.
Fair enough.
And I would just like to add that before you do take a natural remedy or an over-the-counter product, it is a good idea to speak to your pharmacist, because there can be a lot of drug interactions with other medications you may be taking or other conditions you might have as well. And so while you're in there anyway looking for symptomatic relief, make sure you speak to somebody who can help you make the right decisions.
All right.
Vitamin K, especially, and blood thinners. That's a biggie.
All right, we need to take a quick break. Stay with us. There's more after the break.